You can't stop me cause I'm Kim Possible.
Make sure y'all stay on point with
The Puncher's Point. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to The Puncher's Point. Mario's back at it again. And as you can see behind me, this isn't my usual studio or usual environment space that I do the podcast in because the problem is, as of right now, I'm on vacation. And unfortunately, I do not have my mic on me at this moment. So y'all just gonna have to bear for this one episode. But regardless, we got a prediction episode to do. We got Naoya, the Monster Inoue, returning. And he is going to be facing replacement on 2 weeks' notice, Ye Joon Kim. Now, obviously, we know about Naoya Inoue, 20-0, 25 knockouts, top 2 or 3 pound for pound fighter currently in today's day. Ye Joon Kim, we know nothing about. Stepped in on 2 weeks' notice after Sam Goodman suffered that eye cut. And overall, Ye Joon Kim, 21-2, never been knocked out before, 13 knockouts. So the question is, does Ye Joon Kim even have a chance to win this fight, especially on 2 weeks' notice? Because, like I've said in the previous episode, when Sam Goodman and Naoya Inoue, when their fight got canceled, it's hard to prepare for Inoue on 4 or 5 months, let alone 2 weeks. So this is definitely going to be a near impossible task for Ye Joon Kim. However, with that being said, there's always a fighting chance. I recently interviewed Trayshawn Wiggins, and he said you don't know how long that Ye Joon Kim has been preparing for Naoya Inoue, which is a good point. So we're going to hop right into all of that. Strengths, weaknesses, keys to victory, all that. Let's start with Inoue. I mean, what can't the guy do? That's the question. I mean, he's got the strength, he's got the power, he's got the speed, he's got the quickness, he's got the accuracy. The guy has got great footwork, great counterpunching ability, great body punching. I mean, the guy, whatever you want out of a boxer, he's him. Any tool that a boxer can have, Naoya Inoue possesses. And I think that he's one of those rare breeds in boxing where you look at him and you realize there really isn't a weakness that you could point to. However, there are a few. And in these recent fights, they've kind of been exposed a little bit. And we're going to touch up on those. But overall, what I love about Inoue, if I had to pick the 2 or 3 best strengths that Inoue has, I would say it's definitely his ring IQ, his ability to make fighters drop their guard. To his feints are very good as well. The way he's able to basically go into a fight, control the pace, and basically use feints to open up his opponents. A lot of guys, they wait for their opponents to open up. Naoya in a way forces you to open up. I would say his quickness is definitely one of those strengths, how he's able to basically just land a 2-3 punch combination with like 1 second, and his opponents just can't react quick enough. He doesn't give you time to think. He doesn't allow you to strategize in that ring because it's really hard to do it against somebody like Inoue. And last but not least, I would say how he's able to basically impose his will on any opponent that you could possibly need. He's fought brawlers, he's fought boxers, and it doesn't seem to matter because it doesn't matter what happens. Inoue's always coming out on top. He always had a strategy, and he always knows what to do against every single opponent. So with that being said, what are his weaknesses? Well, if I had to point to a few weaknesses with Naoya Inoue, I would say there's not many, but straights to the body. I think TJ Doheny in his last fight, I think he really did a great job of hitting him with straights to the body. And the feints also for Doheny was working as well. You see, he would use these feints and he would get Inoue to kind of raise his guard a little bit and he would hit him straights with the body. He had a couple 2 punch combinations, nothing crazy. He didn't hurt Inoue or anything like that. But I would say the straight to the body is definitely a big punch that I feel like Kim needs to take advantage of in this fight. Another weakness for Inoue is the overhand right. A lot of guys have hit him with that overhand right, and I believe that if you can find a way to open him up, if you can find a way for him to force open the guard, you can hit him with that overhand right. Now, obviously, it's going to take more than an overhand right and a straight to the body to beat Naoya Inoue because he's not going to let you beat him with 2 punches. It's just not going to happen. And then last but not least, I believe constant movement. I believe if you're going to beat Inoue, you need to have constant movement. You can't just be a sitting duck. You can't just stand there. You can't just stay still and expect that you're going to win a brawl with Inoue. That's not how this works. If you're going to beat Naoya Inoue, you're going to have to use constant movement. You're going to have to move around a lot. You're going to have to stay on your toes for all 12 rounds if you make it to all 12 rounds. You're going to have to basically move around the ring. You're going to have to force Inoue to reset every single time you see him planning to land something or planning to counterpunch or planning to open you up. You got to keep on moving because the more you keep on moving, the more he's going to reset. The more you keep on, just landing two punch combinations and backing out because that's all you can do. I'm sorry, but there's only two ways to beat Inoue, unless you flush knock him out, which I really can't see happening. But then again, this is a sport of boxing; you never know what can happen. Or if you just 1-2 punch combination and back out, it's going to be a boring fight. But I believe those are the two ways that you need to beat Inoue. But the problem is, if you think you're just going to throw a straight to the body or an overhand right or an overhand left, if you think you're going to do that for the whole fight and win, you're dead wrong because Inoue will close that space and he will make it tough for you. See, the key is when it comes to Naoya Inoue, you can't let him damage you early. And I also believe that you're going to have to use that movement. So if I'm Ye Joon Kim, what are the keys to victory? I mean, hit him with those body shots. Don't stop moving around. And last but not least, force Inoue to either overreach or force him to open up. The other weakness that he has as well is sometimes when he goes to the body, he tends to kind of duck his head a little bit too much and he tends to overextend. And I believe if you can force him to do that often in a fight, I believe that's great. That's a great opportunity to counterpunch him, but you have to be very careful with somebody like Inoue because one slip up and you will land on that canvas. So I would say those are the keys to victory if Ye Joon Kim is going to be able to beat Naoya Inoue. Now, as far as Ye Joon Kim, what chance does he have? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses for y'all who do not know who Ye Joon Kim is? Well, I'm gonna read him right now. As far as Ye Joon Kim, he's a very, very good body puncher. I've seen a few knockouts where he has knocked guys down and he's knocked guys out with those body punches. I mean, they seem brutal. I'm not gonna lie to you. And he has a really good way of setting them up. He's very good on the inside, and I believe him being very good on the inside is his way of setting up those body punches. And you'll see he'll kind of mix in like some uppercuts and he'll kind of, mix in those uppercuts with the body punches. So it'll look like he's going in for an uppercut or hit him and then he'll hit him in the body and vice versa. Sometimes he's got a really good uppercut as well. Sometimes he'll kind of try to open up low to the body and then when they open their guard, he'll hit them with an uppercut. So he's got those two very, very good tools that he seemed to manage pretty well in his career. The other thing about Kim is he's very evasive when his back is against the ropes. A lot of guys, when they're against the ropes, they tend to struggle. They tend to kind of curl up in a ball. And Ye Joon Kim doesn't do that. Kim, what he does is when he's up against the ropes, he always seems to kind of slip away. If you go and you watch, he lost this fight, but if you go and you go watch one of his previous fights, I can't remember who the opponent was, but we're gonna look it up real quick. If you go and you watch his fight against Rob Diesel. Rob Diesel had him up against the ropes a bunch of times in that fight, and he was able to move out the way, slip out the way, and kind of even counterpunch him at that. So I believe that's also a very, very good tool that he has that not many fighters in today's day do. That he's able to basically get off the ropes. He's able to be very evasive and move around even when his back is up against those ropes. The other thing about Ye Joon Kim is he loves to exchange. He's got very, very good endurance. You can say what you want about him, but the truth is he can go 12 rounds with Naoya Inoue. He doesn't get tired. He can brawl with the best of them. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is he's never been to the ring with a guy like Inoue. That is the big issue. When you're stepping into the ring with somebody like Inoue on 2 weeks' notice, it's not the best thing to do to brawl with him. However, in a lot of his fights, he was able to get onto the inside, take people's best shots and give the best shots back. So I would say that's also a strength of his if he wasn't facing somebody like Naoya Inoue. And last but not least, he's got quick feet. Now look, if you go and watch his fights, obviously he's kind of flat-footed, but he makes it work. Not everybody who's flat-footed is slow. I want to make that very, very clear. Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion, was flat-footed. He didn't really fight on his toes, but you know what? Manny Pacquiao could move. He was like a mouse. He was able to move, get out the way. He was able to land a good, quick 4 or 5 punch combination and slip out. This guy's got similar abilities, not to the extent of Manny Pacquiao. I do want to clarify that. There's rarely anybody to that extent. However, I will say this. He does a very, very good job of using his footwork, charging in with that speed. He does a very good job of sometimes cutting angles as well. Even though he's flat-footed, he makes it work. So I would say those are the strengths for Ye Joon Kim. As far as the weaknesses, I'm gonna be honest. The biggest weakness that he has, in my opinion, is he lacks head movement. Sometimes this guy he lacks head movement. I swear he just relies on his guard. He relies on parrying jabs, and with a guy like Inoue, you can't have bad head movement because he will take advantage of that. With the way Inoue sets up his shots, you need to have good head movement. You need to have a good recovery for when he's going to throw one of those haymakers. And if that head movement doesn't improve in this fight, Ye Joon Kim is in a lot of trouble. The other thing about Ye Joon Kim is he struggles against counterpunchers, and a very good counterpuncher is Inoue. A very good counterpuncher is Inoue. And the problem with that is if you're struggling against counterpunchers because you're just expecting them to stand in front of you, you're going to have a really big problem with Naoya because Naoya will capitalize on that. And that's the thing. Naoya, in a way, he's always setting something up. He's always counterpunching. And if that's going to be your weakness, then you got to learn how to beat the counterpuncher. It's just as simple as that. You can't expect every single fighter to go in there, stand in the pocket with you, and brawl. Because Inoue can do that, but he ain't going to. He is going to play strategic, and he is going to find a way to knock you out strategically. Like I said, he's got a big ring IQ, and you're just not going to be able to beat him brawling. The other thing about Kim is his stance a little wide. If you go watch Kim's fights, he has a very wide stance, and a lot of guys have taken advantage of hitting him into the body, tagging him up in the body. If he gets tagged in the body with Inoue, there's a problem. I mean, he hit TJ Doheny so hard that he broke his back, and he hit him with a body shot. So overall, if you're going to step into this fight, okay, that wide stance is going to be a very big problem. And in my opinion, when you have a natural stance, when you have a stance that is so natural to you, it's hard to change it on short-term notice, especially in 2 weeks, especially against one of the top pound for pound fighters in the world. Inside hooks seem to land against Kim, and I feel like that is definitely a punch that, in a way, will take advantage of. And last but not least, aggressors tend to push him back. Even though, like I said, he's very good at fighting with his back against the ropes, there's a lot of aggressors who have continuously pushed him back against those ropes, and you can't do it. That's one thing you cannot do when it comes to boxing. You can't let your opponent control the pace, be the aggressor, and push you against those ropes. And the problem is with that, he's let so many guys do it because I think he realizes that he was able to defeat those opponents. But the problem is when you're going up against somebody like Inoue, you need to keep that fight in the middle of the ring. So with that being said, what does Inoue have to do? I already mentioned the keys for Ye Joon Kim, but what does Naoya Inoue have to do to win this fight? And I mean, there's not much. I mean, Inoue always finds a way to win, but I would say if there were keys, counterpunching, body shots, and then push the pace and pressure. That's really it. As long as Inoue does that, I think it's gonna be a rude awakening for Ye Joon Kim. Now, as far as betting odds, I mean, as you guys would guess, the betting odds aren't really in Ye Joon Kim's favor because, I mean, let's be real, he is coming in on 2 weeks' notice. So what are those betting odds? And what should you pick? Well, Naoya Inoue is a minus 5,000 favorite, and Ye Joon Kim is a plus 2,000 underdog. Do what you want with that information. I mean, you could bet on Ye Joon Kim and hope that a miracle happens and he knocks him out, but do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think that's going to happen. And the problem is stepping into the ring with Naoya Inoue, especially when you're a fighter that nobody knows. For all we know, he could be training for Inoue this entire time and he has some type of game plan. That's possible. If you don't got a fight going on, I expect a lot of fighters to study those champions and see what their strengths and weaknesses are because it's only a matter of time before you get there. I'm pretty sure Wiggins, I'm pretty sure he's looking at the champions in 147 pounds. Boots Ennis, Mario Barrios, like you said, Stanionis. I mean, you can name them all, but I'm pretty sure he's looking at those guys and he's studying them because who knows when he's going to get that shot. And a lot of fighters, I believe, do that, or they should do that if that's the case. So, in my opinion, how do I see this fight going? Look, I don't see this fight going long. I can see Inoue feeling him out for the first round and kind of figuring him out just in that first round alone. Second round, Inoue starts to heat up, and I think we're gonna see a third round knockout by Naoya Inoue out. And I'm gonna be honest, he's gonna hit him with those hooks early in the second round, and then basically once Ye Joon Kim tries to adjust to that, he's gonna get him in the body, and I think that's when he's really gonna beat him. I think I'm gonna go with Naoya Inoue, third round knockout, and if I had to predict how it happens, I'm gonna say a body shot. I'm gonna say he hits him with another body shot and he knocks him out, and that's how I see it happening. But overall, we're gonna have to wait and see. This fight is going to be on January 24th. January 24th, Tokyo, Japan, for Naoya Inoue's Undisputed Bantamweight Championships. Ye Joon Kim coming in on 2 weeks short notice. Can he do it? Can he complete the impossible and defeat Naoya Inoue? I don't think it could happen, but like anything could happen in boxing. Not many people thought back in the day that Buster Douglas was going to defeat Mike Tyson, but that's what happened. Not many people believed that Andy Ruiz was going to beat Anthony Joshua, but that's what happened. So, with that being said, we're just going to have to see what happens on January 24th. Can Kim complete the impossible? And that is the question. And with that being said, I say it's time to wrap up. This is kind of a little bit of a short prediction episode, obviously, but overall, I appreciate you guys, being patient with me while I'm on vacation visiting family. Obviously, this isn't my normal setup, so this is something you have to get used to and kind of adjust to for the next 2 episodes, maybe 3 at most. But overall, make sure y'all continue to tune into the podcast. Make sure y'all tune into the interviews that we just did with Eddie Brown and Trayshawn Wiggins. Great interviews over there. Make sure y'all definitely go check it out. Make sure y'all check out the social medias. We got great things going on there on the Instagram, the Twitter, the Threads, Facebook, Discord, all of that. Make sure y'all tune into those social medias. And last but not least, make sure y'all look at the podcast. Make sure y'all listen to the podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe to the podcast on all major podcast platforms. And with that being said, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.